cape.
Welcome, Wargamers. This is Doug with 2 Plus Tough, and we are continuing our coverage of the Star Collecting boxes in detail and going over how new players can come in and what to expect on the tabletop from their first purchases. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Demons of Nurgle Star Collecting box, so let's check out what's inside. The Demons of Nurgle Star Collecting box comes with 1 Herald of Nurgle, 3 Plague Drones, 3 sets of Nurglings, and then also 10 Plague Bearers. Something really interesting about this box is that if you add all of the contents together, it is exactly 500 points, which is really funny because if you buy 2 of them and you have a 1,000 point list, not an effective one, don't suggest it whatsoever for an army creation, but you have it if you want it. So let's really just dig into these guys. So what makes this box sort of unique? Well, a lot like the other demon boxes, everything here is summonable, meaning if you were to say pair it with another box like Wachow, the Slaves to Darkness box, you could keep all of your Demons of Nurgle stuff off the field and then bring them on into better positions later. We're going to talk about that in a second. And so it gives you a little bit of flexibility off the bat. They all have pretty terrible saves. The Nurglings don't have any, and everything else has 5s, I believe. Maybe the Herald has something slightly better. What does make the Nurgle box better is that they get basically 2 saves. They all have a special ability that lets you roll a die after they take a wound. So you roll to see if they get hurt, they take the wound, you roll a second die, and then they have a chance of saving that one again. So they are more resilient than you'd think from other demons. Certainly more resilient than other demon armies like Tzeentch and Khorne and Slaanesh and things like that. But so they really adds to staying power. That's always going to be the thing with Nurgle is kind of toughness. They can absorb damage really, really well. And honestly, besides that, there's really not a lot going on under the hood. This is a very easy to understand box. If you were nervous about the game being too complicated or you're trying to introduce someone like at a demo level, having, say, Stormcast Eternals versus the Nurgle Demon box, I think is a terrific idea because the Star Collecting box for Nurgle Demons doesn't have a ton of built-in synergy. There's not a lot of moving parts to it. Everyone is just kind of really, really hard to kill and moderately okay at hurting other people. That staying power doesn't really become a tool until you build an entire army around it, which unfortunately this box doesn't really allow you to do. I do always recommend, again, pairing things with the Slaves to Darkness box. You'll hear me say that almost every single time I do a Chaos review. These guys are the Swiss Army knife that kind of bind all the different Chaos armies together and make it work. So you would get, if you did everything here with a Nurgle keyword, they all get, well, they don't really do a whole much, but basically your sorcerer gets the Nurgle keyword sorcerer and he can summon the demons and things like that. Really, really cool stuff. You can build synergies around them. Once they have the Nurgle keyword, there's a ton of cool stuff you can do to build an army around that. Point being, the Demons of Nurgle box, in and of itself, even the Nurgle Demons entire subfaction isn't a lot, right? It's very small. The synergies aren't great. It focuses on staying power. So what I suggest, and this is going forward, is focus on building a Grand Alliance Chaos army, right? All Nurgle themed, because I think Nurgle is one of the coolest themes that there is, and focus on staying power. If you bought the Nurgle Star Collecting box, or you're planning to, you made a great choice. Your next choices should be to emphasize the strengths of that box. Now, how do we do that? Well, I mentioned earlier that everything is summonable, okay? Picture this. Let's say you bought the Nurgle Star Collecting box and you bought anything else, really. I mean, these guys have a wizard in there. This whole plan I'm going to explain to you requires a wizard, so I always suggest this one. You're building your army. You deploy these guys, leave the Nurgle stuff in your reserve pool that you can summon things with. And so these guys jet forward as far as they can, right? Because these guys are all faster than Nurgle Demons. Keep that in mind. Nurgle's very, very slow. And then your second turn, the sorcerer summons as much as their sorcerers, how many wizards you have, summon as many of those Nurgle units as they can. Now you've just moved your army's distance, right? From that point, your wizard has summoned the units, and it has to be, within the range, but it's a pretty good range. So now your really slow Nurgle units have actually, in the second turn, made more distance across the board. Throw them onto objectives. Again, they're tough. They resist damage fairly well. So it's not a matter of them being powerhouses. This is a great scenario army because you can plant them on an objective, and they're going to require more work to dislodge than you put into getting them there. When you want an army to kind of gum up your opponent's plans, the Nurgle Daemons are awesome at that. Again, everything's summonable. You have to learn to take advantage of that. Even if all you did was that same thing we did, right? The wizard runs up, summons stuff, and throws them forward, and you just forget about the demons, like trying to absorb as much damage as possible, the rest of your army in the back can then move forward into a better position. It buys you a turn, because your opponent can't not deal with the demons. So it kind of puts a good position for you to get yourself around the objectives and score and things like that. Some things that really make demon armies for Nurgle really, really shine. Number one thing, Glotkin, okay? Glotkin is the big Mamma Jamma model that G-Dub put out during the end times. It's the three brothers. Like, one is the monster itself, and there's two dudes riding it. There's a wizard that can cast 2 spells riding it, as well as what is basically a really weak Chaos Lord. And so collectively, that model does an immense amount of damage. His command ability is that he gives all Nurgle stuff around him +1 attack, including himself, which is pretty nuts. So it's on all melee weapons. He can, again, summon 2 things a turn, theoretically. And so he's just a huge shrunken model that sits in he's like the anchor point of your army. Again, perfect for this kind of stuff. If you had everything in this box with the Nurgle keyword and the Glotkin and the Demons box, they all get +1 attack, first of all. You then have 3 chances to summon things, because he's a wizard, plus the Glotkin can summon or can cast 2. And then all of this stuff surges forward. Your horsemen go as far as they can. You summon everything far downfield. Enemy is going to have a troublesome time eating through those models to then get back to your Glotkin, your Chaos Wizard, everything like that, which are already in position. So this box has a lot of game in it. You just need to build the army to make that game happen, which unfortunately puts it in its own category from the other Star Collecting boxes, which some of them have amazing models to start with. Like the Tzeentch one is just a no-brainer, really good. But the Nurgle one, if you like the Nurgle stuff, buy the box. It's a great set. It's a great value. The Plague Drones are an immense value. But be warned that you're not going to see the full force of this army until you build the rest of it around it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you'd like to check out the Nurgle Daemons Star Collecting box or the Chaos Slaves to Darkness stuff, head down to the store down below. That's my 2+ Stuff affiliate store, where I basically sell things powered through Amazon. They'll ship it to you. I don't serve any products of my own, but every purchase you make there, I get a slice of, and that goes to supporting me as a content producer with better lights, sound, recording equipment, things like that. So I would greatly appreciate it if you did that. Thank you so much for watching, and happy wargaming.